Hello everyone. My name is William Warke and I am Director of Corporate Services at the Consumer Council. I am here today to spend a bit of time talking to our Chief Executive, Noyona Chundur, about what we do at the Consumer Council and our exciting plans over the next 3 years. At the end of our chat today, I will be encouraging you all to submit questions you may have for us, so please listen out for those details at the end. So, Noyona.
Hi, William.
Thank you so much for giving your time today to talk through some of our work, what we do on behalf of consumers.
You're very welcome.
First and foremost, before we get stuck into the work and plans of the Consumer Council, would you like to tell us a little bit about the organisation for those that are unfamiliar with us?
Of course I will. The Consumer Council is Northern Ireland's consumer representative body, and we champion and protect consumer rights and interests. We work with everyone, so we represent 1.9 million citizens, but particularly consumers who are disabled, with long-term health conditions, of pensionable age, on low incomes or living in rural areas. Our statutory duties cover energy, post, transport, water and sewerage and food affordability. We also educate, empower and support consumers against unfair or discriminatory practices in any market, for example, financial services and most recently private car parking notices. We work with government, regulators and stakeholders to influence consumer policy and campaign for fair and affordable market access. We also investigate consumer complaints and provide independent advice and signposting services for free to deliver positive outcomes for consumers every day. And we use our research expertise to understand the emerging risks, challenges and opportunities consumers are facing here and at a national and international level. And finally, we have designated authority to raise a super complaint if we believe a market in the UK is or appears to be significantly harming the interests of consumers.
Great. So can you tell us about the people who make the Consumer Council what it is, your staff?
Of course. Well, I'm very lucky to have you as
Thank
one
you.
of my team. At present, we have almost 50 people, each totally committed to our mission of being the trusted go-to organisation for consumers in Northern Ireland. Not only do they put consumers at the heart of everything that they do, but they also go to extraordinary lengths every day to give consumers a voice. And they take so much pride in delivering the highest standards of service, including this year, when despite facing an exponential rise in demand, they still achieved an advocacy score of 97 out of 100 and a customer satisfaction score of 99.7%. We also became a 2-star Best Companies organisation for outstanding levels of workplace engagement. And we once again improved our customer service excellence and investors in people standards. So I couldn't be more proud of my team, and it is a real privilege to lead such a fantastic group of people.
Excellent. So now you've recently just joined the Consumer Council in the last couple of months, and one of your first tasks was to create quite an ambitious plan of work for the next 3 years,
Yes.
which we call our corporate plan and our forward work programme. Could you tell viewers a little bit more about our plans and our specific areas of focus?
Of course. So we are in uncharted territory for consumers, and many will face significant challenges. My biggest concern is increased consumer detriment and reduced financial inclusion. So my focus is to protect and empower consumers, and this is central to our new corporate plan. The plan addresses 4 consumer priorities: the COVID-19 pandemic, EU exit, decarbonisation and digitalisation. And if you'd like, I can tell you a little bit about what we will do under each one.
Yes, that'd be great. So we'll start off a little bit about COVID-19.
Okay. So we'll start with COVID-19. Our focus has been and will continue to be on helping consumers deal with the impact of the pandemic. It has changed how we spend, socialise, work, travel and live. And the Consumer Council will ensure that we're here for consumers by being their trusted voice, researching consumer detriment and the impact it has had on their lives and livelihoods, using this evidence to campaign for the right policy, the right protections and the right enforcement standards, offering up-to-date factual information that will help consumers plan for their future and providing them with free dispute resolution.
Great. So the second priority then, EU exit. Can you just tell us a little bit about it, please?
Of course. Moving on to EU exit, which has brought and will continue to bring about change for consumers and impact on our daily lives. Consumers are already experiencing high prices, longer delivery timeframes, as you well know, and reduced choice. So our focus very much is to safeguard against any erosion of consumer rights, protections and market access by working with government, regulators and industry. As the economy seeks to recover and lockdown restrictions inevitably ease, consumers will look to international travel again, and this is when they will experience some of the impacts of EU exit. So we will continue to help consumers prepare for EU exit, inform future policy development based on the findings of our research, advise government and our stakeholders through impact analysis and market reviews, and develop tools and resources that will help consumers make more informed choices.
Can you tell us a little bit about decarbonisation, which may be a new concept for many consumers who are listening today?
Okay, no problem. In terms of decarbonisation, many are planning for climate action and a low carbon economy. And Northern Ireland is no different when it comes to its ambitions for decarbonisation. Delivering a more competitive, inclusive and greener economy is a priority for the Northern Ireland Executive, with the Department for the Economy leading on its new energy strategy. So we will work with government to ensure policy, regulation, legislation, protection and enforcement is influenced by consumer behaviour, consumption and affordability, and help consumers access the right advice, support and redress mechanisms, help them to understand why and ensure that they are prepared to change how they use energy, and ensure that they are also informed and empowered about switching to green energy. And in doing so, we will help build consumer confidence by giving them access to the right information, the right advice, the right support and the right redress.
That's great. So, lastly, can you tell us about digitalisation?
Of course. There is no doubt the pandemic has accelerated the shift to digitalisation. Whilst it has offered some consumers greater choice and customisation, it has also excluded others, particularly those in vulnerable circumstances, many of whom find it very difficult to navigate digital markets, struggle to find out about their rights and redress, and many are also locked into contracts that have loyalty or switching penalties. There has also been a significant rise in online scams and frauds and an increase in mis-selling and mis-buying practices, including greenwashing and social washing, which is when companies exaggerate their green credentials or social impact claims. It's worth remembering a manipulated consumer is a vulnerable citizen, so it is vital that regulation and independent scrutiny matches the pace of technological progress.
That's very interesting, and thank you for that. Can you tell us a bit more about what your plans are for tackling these issues?
The Consumer Council will work with government and stakeholders to ensure all consumers are protected regardless of their circumstances and that they have access to fair, affordable and secure markets. Across all of our 4 consumer priorities, we will deliver resources, campaigns and outreach programmes that connect with consumers and communities so they understand their rights and the support that we can offer them. We will respond to tariff consultations, calls for evidence and policy determinations, as well as codes of practice and complaint handling reviews to safeguard consumer protections. And we will represent the interests of consumers here at local, national and international stakeholder and industry-led working groups, engagement forums and advisory panels.
So thank you very much for that, and that is extremely useful for our listeners here today. So now, you rightfully mentioned that COVID is one of the areas which will be a big focus for the Consumer Council. Can you tell us a bit more about how COVID has impacted our work so far and what we plan to do going forward?
So over the last year, we have seen a significant rise in calls due to the COVID-19 pandemic. From the beginning of the pandemic, we have received over 9,000 calls from consumers, a 94% increase on the same period as the previous year. This has also resulted in the Consumer Council returning over £1 million to the consumer purse as a result of our protection work this year. An area of concern receiving the most focus is travel. in particular refunds due to flight and holiday cancellations. Many consumers have struggled to obtain refunds directly from airlines, tour operators and travel agents. We have worked very closely with industry, so airlines, regulators and government, to ensure that consumers get the compensation they deserve, and campaigned for consumers to receive clear, timely and easy to access guidance on their rights and their refunds. So to date, we have returned over £820,000 from airline refunds and £40,000 from tour operator refunds. And this is a huge achievement for both the consumer and for the team.
Thank you for that. That's a very impressive piece of work from the Consumer Council. So I believe there's another area of concern during COVID, and that is the issue of scams. Can you tell us a little bit about that, please?
Yes, we are hearing a lot about online scams. We are members of the Scamwise NI partnership and have been able to leverage this partnership to work with other bodies such as the PSNI and Advice NI to educate and inform consumers how to stay safe from scams. We have developed a number of scam awareness campaigns on behalf of the partnership, including a campaign targeting rural consumers. Going forward, we have a programme of work which will ensure that consumer protection and empowerment is at the heart of everything that we do. And if you look at our forward work programme for 2021-2022, you will see that we have a strong portfolio of work that focuses on conducting research with consumers so we understand consumer needs and their issues better, empower them via education and outreach activities, offer independent advice and redress via our free helpline, and ensure public policy is citizen-focused and represents the needs of all Northern Ireland consumers.
Okay, thank you for that. Extremely useful. Now, it's not just consumers who we support at the Consumer Council. We are also here to provide business support.
Yes, we are.
Are there areas which you've been more focused on this year, for example, EU exit, or Brexit as it's commonly termed, and COVID?
Yes, the COVID-19 pandemic and EU exit has impacted both consumers and businesses, and we are helping small businesses in a number of ways. We continue to offer our free water bill health check throughout the pandemic, which has returned over £250,000 to over 450 businesses since 2017. We have supported businesses with their utility complaints and helped them save money with the launch of our business energy price comparison tool. And this year alone, we have returned over £41,000 through the investigation of inquiries and complaints. Many businesses purchased Royal Mail's redirection or business diversion products to redirect mail to their home address, which came at a very high cost. Following our intervention, Royal Mail restructured its pricing, and this saved over 50 businesses £1,000 each. Our COVID-19 webpage offers the latest government support with practical tips for businesses to manage their utility bills when closed to avoid unnecessary problems. And in parallel, we also agreed billing relief for businesses with Northern Ireland Water. Despite the grace period, EU exit has had an impact on parcel deliveries to consumers and to businesses, with new customs processes and tariffs, administration and compliance declarations. Many retailers have decided not to service the Northern Ireland market, which has been detrimental for many small businesses who rely on getting their supplies from GB. We are campaigning for the urgent publication of government guidance so suppliers and parcel operators can make the necessary preparations to supply the Northern Ireland market, and consumers can familiarise themselves with any new restrictions. And finally, we also update our EU exit guide on a regular basis. And we would encourage both businesses and consumers to check this online resource from time to time.
Thank you for that, and that's extremely interesting and useful for our business listeners to know that the Consumer Council is also there for them as well. Now, taking into account our current socio-economic situation and also looking to the future, what can consumers expect from the Consumer Council?
So in summary, the global economy will suffer, and Northern Ireland will be especially hard hit due to our high consumer spending. Consumer spending comprises 75% of Northern Ireland's GDP compared to 66% of the UK. But consumer confidence has also fallen as people feel less confident about their financial security. Northern Ireland has experienced reduced economic outputs, higher benefit claimant counts, dramatic shifts in buying behaviour and its labour market, rising inequality due to the record numbers of furloughed jobs and redundancies, which mainly impact on young people, women and low-paid and part-time workers. And this has resulted in more consumers in vulnerable circumstances, with many falling into poverty. Our weekly disposable income remains the lowest of any UK region, approximately £100 below the UK average, and this has fallen from the previous year. So economic recovery will be slow, and it will take time to return to the levels seen prior to March 2020. So the summary headline is that Northern Ireland and its consumers will be hard hit.
Well, that's very concerning, actually, and very concerning for our listeners here today.
Yeah.
So what will the Consumer Council be doing?
Well, we are resolute in delivering a better deal for consumers so that they can overcome these significant challenges. We will protect and empower them, build their confidence, their resilience and their welfare, inform any public policy, legislation and regulation that affects consumers here, and help them make more informed choices. We will always apply 8 guiding principles of access, choice, information, fairness, representation, redress and education to frame our regulatory and policy work, as well as our advocacy and our outreach. And we will deliver our annual work programmes across both statutory and non-statutory responsibilities through 5 interdependent objectives that support our corporate plan, as well as the new programme for government outcomes framework. And these objectives are to understand consumers, to influence public policy, to represent consumers, to protect them and to empower them. And as I mentioned earlier, we will be working on a whole range of activities, from conducting research to informing policy and decision making, to conducting outreach and education campaigns, and to protecting consumers via our free helpline. So I would encourage anyone who's interested in finding out more about what we do to visit our website, consumercouncil.org.uk, follow us on social media, or call the team on 0800 121 6022.
Thank you for that, Noyona. That's really interesting, and we really do have a busy time ahead.
We certainly do.
So, thank you for your time today. Thank you all for listening. I hope you found this to be helpful and informative. If you have any questions, then please visit our dedicated website, www.niconsumerweek.co.uk, and use our web form to put forward your queries and ideas. Alternatively, if you have a consumer issue which you'd like to discuss, then please contact us to speak with one of our advisors on 0800 121 6022. From myself and Noyona, we'd just like to say thank you so much for your time.